Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host, Derailious, and today we're going to be going over the hub revamp currently on the Alpha Network, as well as a bunch of other changes. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe, use code RAIL on the Hypixel store for 5% off your order, and use code RAIL or code MILK if you're picking up Hytail. Without any further ado, though, let's get started. So to begin here, we are now in the brand new hub, and it looks really good. And the biggest difference between this hub and the old one is probably cohesiveness, with the new hub being very focused on the 5 main skills. Going from the left, we have foraging over that way, combat in that direction, mining, farming, and then fishing. Turning around, you'll see the new community center, which looks very nice, and gives off many of the vibes that you'll see throughout the rest of the hub. A lot more curvature in building, a lot more slants, and it just looks really great. Starting off from the left, we're going to head over to the new auction house, as well as the new dungeon hub, and the area in which events will occur. So events like, for example, the traveling zoo, places like it, will likely be over here according to some people who spoke to the admins in Hub 1. Heading over to the auction house, there's not too much different here. You can go over to Shen's auction, which is in the basement, as you can see. Same as usual, nothing too much changed there. Heading outside the auction house building, you can see the new bazaar area, which looks very nice in my view. Next to it is the banker and the new vault, and then heading over next to it is the area to go to the combat zone, as well as the builders building, the mad redstone engineer, and wool weaver. And heading outside, you can see Amelia and Christopher up there. Heading back outside this building, you can see the mining area, which we'll go to in a little bit. We have Kat right over here, which is very nice to see. She is front and center. We can head inside and see Bee, Fan, and Hootie. We can go outside and we can see Zogs chilling on the side by the little river. And we can also head upstairs to see the upstairs area, nothing too much there. And George is over here inside the building as well. Heading outside, we can see the farming area. Then we can see the area where you would find cosmetics. We have Taylor. And then heading down into the basement, we find Seymour, as well as a fairy soul here. Heading up and out, we then see the fishing area. Heading over this way, we have the new museum, which, by the way, there's a bunch of new stuff with the museum that we'll go over later. And there's also the handler with the hex hanging out right here, so it'll be a lot more accessible for you in the hub. Heading back outside, we're going to begin by going over to the left part of the map, where the foraging area is. Heading over to the brand new foraging camp, as it's called, we can find quite a few NPCs here, notably Lumberjack, as well as the Lumber Merchant, and also the Carpenter, who is currently hanging out here. And if you head into the basement, you can see the Carpenter's building, as well as the Apprentice and a rat. Heading back outside, we can also see a few other things in the distance, but the area to go to the park is still effectively the same. It's just way prettier. The castle still exists. It's just in the back corner now, as per usual, and it's basically unchanged, except that now there's moss pretty much all over it. It looks really nice in my view already. There wasn't really a lot of change that needed to happen to it, so I'm fine with it staying mostly as is. We also have the carnival area, I imagine, which is basically unchanged as well. You can see a bunch of dead bushes all around. I bet that's mapping out where the carnival would actually be. You can't actually go to Hoppity right now through this area. He's actually on the opposite side, and we'll get over to that in a minute. But heading over to the back part of the map, still not much changed over here, except if you head over to this pathway back here, you can see that the unincorporated area is now way smaller, and we still have these double doors that lead to nowhere for the last 6 years, really close to 7 years now, and they still exist, but there's still nothing here in that regard. We also have the Wizard Tower, which is basically unchanged. It's just gotten a few visual upgrades, and actually if you head inside, I think the inside of the building has gotten the most change with some new interiors, which look really nice. I think they did a great job on pretty much everything here, going all the way up. Keep in mind, by the way, the rift is basically unchanged at the moment. There's been nothing done to it, but we still have pretty much all of the NPCs here, and here's the rift area. Once again, nothing too different. Heading outside, we can see that the wilderness is actually basically completely the same. They've done very little to it, except for this little area, which is the Fairy Soul area now. As you can see, Tia is right here, and the lake got a little bit of an upgrade, but pretty much nothing else in the wilderness did, which is notable. Heading out of the wilderness, we can see the Vincent area where the dyes are held. As you can see, here's Vincent. The building itself didn't receive a lot of changes, as you can see, mostly the same. And heading outside, we can head over to the fishing area as well as the Colosseum. The Colosseum is basically gone now, as you can see fully. It has a bunch of trees here. You can't go underneath it anymore. It has been significantly shrunk down. There's also Marco's building as well as the Painter's Abode. This has been mostly unchanged in terms of its design. At least the canvas room is mostly unchanged. As you can see, it's basically exactly the same. 2 floors for the flower house itself, but other than that, there isn't really a ton of change for Marco himself. Heading outside, we can see that there is Guy right here. He has a much bigger area, now with a bunch of really creepy monitors for you to stare at. There's also a little bit of housing under here is the best way I can describe it. Not too much stuff, all things considered, but definitely notable. Even more housing over in this area and a little bed for him, I imagine. And if we head outside and then drop down a little bit, we can actually find Hoppity and his stuff. And if you head down into the Hoppity basement, yes, this is a real thing now, you can see a bunch of finance rabbits for some reason, as well as another finance rabbit right here, and also a security rabbit who is wearing a Dante outfit for some reason, who just tells you to move along and not look at all the gold and other stuff he has behind his little vault. Continuing right along outside the building, we can see all of the fishing-related content in the game, as well as where the Abaphone shop is. Starting off with the Abaphone shop, nothing too much is different here. We have Alda as well as Karis. They are both hanging out. We also have all of the fishing-related content once again. We have the NPCs like the Fishing Merchant, Fisherman Gerald, as well as Gwynny, and also Plumber Joe, who is hanging out in this little building right here. If we head over further, we can find the Angler Angus, as well as Gavin. And if you head outside, you can also find the ship, which looks very nice and is a little bit bigger now. So that's something for you to note. Heading back over to the main part of the hub, we can see the Alchemist building, which is just absolutely massive now. But there is the Alchemist. And heading back over even further, I wanted to do a little bit of a loop to show you guys that Fisherwoman Enid is basically at the start of the hub right here. She is very, very close to the center. Heading over to the farming area now, we can see a few more NPCs very, very quickly, as we saw the Alchemist already. We have Farm Merchant right here. We have Jacob and Anita both in their own little building right here, as well as Arthur with his minion. We also have Farmer Rigby as well as Shania. Both of them have stuck around. If we head over this way, we can find a little path that goes through these vineyards as well as some orange patches. And underneath, we have Ludlith, as you can see. So Ludlith is still around. Heading over from the Alchemist building to the mining district, there is quite a bit of change, all things considered. There's still the mining merchant as well as the blacksmith and the smithmonger and Dusk, but you won't be able to find any combat stuff here that has been moved to the combat area. The mines themselves have been totally overhauled, and as you can see, there's sponge everywhere. That's temporary. Obviously, that's going to be updated to include all of the ores, but for now, it's just a whole lot of sponge. It looks very nice, though. The caves are quite a bit bigger, so if you're one of those people who, I don't know, for some reason is mining in the hub at the start of the game, it should be a little bit better, all things considered, and easier to get around these new caves. Heading over, though, I wanted to show off the combat area. This is the new combat district in the hub, and it looks very, very nice, and you can enter it from the main area, of course, through these gates. Now, if you see on the right side of the combat district, we have the trade center right here with Liz, Zarina, and Richard. Heading over as well, we have Jax, who is the person who handles all of your arrows. As well, in the basement, we have the practice area for you to do target practice. That is all still around. There's the weaponsmith as well as Rosetta. And if you're wondering where to pick up the rogue sword, you can now pick it up at the weaponsmith because the 12 villagers are in fact gone. We also have the librarian right here, and we have Maxwell the thaumaturgist. We have the adventurer right next to them, and we have Ozan as well as Jacobus all in the same building, as well as the math enjoyer, just to, I don't know, organize this section of the game a little bit more. Heading outside, we have the graveyard, and it looks very, very good. We have the bartender in a normal building, as you can see. Heading into the basement of that building, we can see Maddox is still hanging out, of course. Heading back outside, we can see the other building here is where Pat belongs. As you can see, you can still pick up gravel and flint from him, which is great to see. There's still the Dante grave. I know some people were wondering, is that going to stick around? Yes, it did. Here's the Dante grave, as you can see. And the area between the Dante grave and also the mining district is now a lot smaller. As you can see, there isn't that big gap and path over the mining area. It's now much more connected, which is interesting to me. Heading back over, though, I wanted to show off the spider's den, which we'll get to in a little bit, but it looks very, very nice off rip. And I wanted to show off the crypts as well, which have a little bit of a nicer entrance with these blue flames, which has a theme that is continued into the crypts themselves. Nothing too much different here. In my view, this just feels a little bit wider of an area, but that could just be placebo or something that I'm just making up in my mind. There are these nice little soul flames right here, which is good to see, but the crypts themselves are basically the same in terms of layout. Nothing much different in this regard. So heading outside, that's basically been a full tour all around the hub, and I've got to say, it's very, very cool. There are definitely still secrets and things that you can uncover and find if you want to. For example, there are sewer systems currently underneath the hub areas. For example, if I drop down, I believe it's like right over here, and I just swim around for a little bit. Yep, there it is. We can actually head into a little sewer section, which has nothing really in terms of content here, but definitely is interesting that there is now a sewer in the underneath part of the hub. I imagine that this is where rats are going to be. In fact, I think I see one over there. So that's probably what this area is for. But they have little waterways that connect pretty much all over the hub, so you can actually follow this out. But obviously it's going to take a little bit to get out of here with the water in the way. Regardless, I've got to say, I think that this is an amazing hub revamp. Things look really, really great. There is one little area I do want to show off further, and that is the top of the mountain. But in terms of the top of the mountain, there isn't a lot of change. I will just state that pretty plainly. Let's head up there. And the path up there is basically the same, as you can see. Nothing too different overall. But as you approach, you still get the snow as per usual. Still get the area through if you wanted to run through there. We have the little balcony overlooking. And we have the top of the mountaintop. Now the scoop building is a little bit more on the side. It's kind of tilted more so. But other than that, you can still jump up here. And there we go. We have the wizard still out looking over the breach. And we can jump back down, back to the main part of the hub, which I've got to say, just from far away, looks absolutely incredible. We also have the map art, which isn't completely and totally updated. I will say there are some things that aren't completely accurate about it, most notably related to the new spider's den, which we'll get to in a minute. But for now, this is what the hub art looks like. Something else notable is that the side of the mountaintop is now lacking an aqueduct, but it is having this little weird area. I don't really know how to describe it. It's just with some netherwart in here. I think this is where something like Year of the Witch would maybe take place, or maybe there would be a new NPC here whenever Year of the Witch does end up happening. But for now, it's just a little weird area inside of the mountain, which is pretty notable. Also, if you want to access the catacombs from the main hub without ever going to the dungeon hub, you still can. Here's Mort, here's Ophelia, and also here's Malik. They're all still in the main hub, as you can see, and they got a few little upgrades here. You know, they got candles now, which is very nice to see. But other than that, not too many changes. As part of this update, quite a few other islands were also updated, but none to the extent of the hub. But the closest to the extent of the hub is probably the Spider's Den, which has this new, darker theme to it, which looks absolutely incredible in my view. The layout of this location is still basically the same, and especially if you go down into the Slayer Caves, they are basically exactly the same, as you can see. The only major difference is that now there's mud bricks everywhere to allow you to go up and down a little bit easier. It's been converted from, I think, stone before into this mud, which looks really good. But regardless, I've got to say, the Spider's Den looks really, really nice now. I love the theme personally. I bet some people will find it a little bit jarring and not like it nearly as much, but personally I'm a big fan. And also we have sludge water now, which is very, very interesting. The End was also another island that was updated with these new biomes as well as new blocks. As you can see already, there's crying obsidian basically everywhere. Let's head over here though, just to show it off real quick. There's a lot more amethyst everywhere, some blackstone and tuff as well. And if we head down into the underneath part, we can see that that theme basically continues on. If you head over to the Void Sepulchre, same deal, effectively just more new blocks just occasionally used. I actually think in the Sepulchre it's basically unused in terms of new blocks, which is kind of interesting. But if we head back out, we can find some of those new blocks in the Dragon's Nest area. So heading over to the Dragon's Nest, we can see a lot more of this blackstone as well as tuff used pretty much everywhere. Basalt is used in the build a little bit, crying obsidian in the build a little bit. And over on the right side and the left side, you can see these little amethyst pillars, which are a lot more obvious, I will say. Maybe even a little bit too bright in my view. I think that they might want to like have an outline of these. But regardless, I think this looks good, just off rip. And I do like a lot of the basalt used. It just matches the area very, very well. There's also some other islands that have been changed up. Let's head over to them. Alrighty, so heading over to the barn, we can see that there isn't a whole lot of change. They've just updated the barn itself with some nicer details, as well as adding new wood types around the entire place, and just generally making the area feel and look a little bit better. They've done the same to the windmill over here. Once again, though, in terms of layout, pretty much everything is exactly the same. There have also been a ton of changes to the Mushroom Desert that I wanted to go over, using a lot more of the new modern blocks. I've got to say, it looks really, really good here with the new cactus flowers and the new path heading over to where the oasis is, as well as the new azalea leaves and azaleas everywhere. The whole Mushroom Desert just looks a little bit more vibrant. They've also added more red to the actual mesa towering heaps of stone as well. I just think everything here looks very, very nice. Heading over to the mushroom area as well, not too much different overall, just some moss on the grounds as you can see. And if you head over inside the glowing mushroom cave, once again, not a whole lot of change here. Things are mostly the same. The layout is pretty much exactly the same. And heading through the glowing mushroom cave into the overgrown mushroom cave, we can see that things are once again mostly the same, except for all of the glow lichen and glow fruit or whatever it's called hanging from the ceiling, as well as the moss on the sides. Generally, the mushroom desert once again is pretty much exactly the same, except now having some nicer accents pretty much everywhere. And in terms of the last new-ish location on our list, we have the gold mine, which I've got to say looks really, really interesting. I like the use of the scaffolding on the actual pillars here, but regardless, not too much in total is different, just some nicer new accents, and the main layout of the place is basically exactly the same as you can see. So once again, a location without a ton of differences, but that about does it in terms of the new islands. There is also another part of this update that I wanted to go over, and it's actually related to the museum. If you head over to the museum now, you can see that it's now split up by category based on skills. So as you can see, combat, farming, mining, fishing, and foraging, as well as dungeoneering, hunting, and special items. And now there is a lot more stuff included in the museum. Especially in terms of mining, you will find a lot more items. Stuff like the goblin omelet, many of the different drill engines, stuff like, for example, also the royal pigeon, so on and so forth. There's a lot more XP for you to earn here, going all the way up to 3,482 total XP. You can also put some more hunting items in here as well if you wanted to, but so on and so forth for pretty much every skill in the game. Definitely interesting that you can now add so much stuff to the museum, and I do like this system of sorting a little bit more than the old one. To wrap up here, I'm going to be honest with you, this was an absolutely incredible update to overview and look at. Seeing all of the new blocks utilized in this way is just incredibly exciting to see, and while you're not able to put stuff like these new blocks on your island just yet, I think we are all one step closer. The team is stating that this is the real last step before they're able to start releasing a lot of modern version content, and I truly believe them. I also think the cohesiveness of the new hub is very, very nice. There's a mining area separate from a farming area, separate from a fishing, foraging, and combat zone now, which is all very nice to see. I hope the new player experience gets improved soon as well, but now with this new hub, I think they have the tools to do it. I would love to hear what you think about all of these changes down below. Leave all of your thoughts. At the end of the day, though, my name's Derailious. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.